is for infrastructural development purposes, because we've got a lot of money in the banks idling, and those with the money are refusing to invest in South Africa because they say they don't have confidence in the South African government.
Do you support BE?
Yes, I do. BE was a very good policy. It was supposed to be broadened, as it were. We had argued that it must be broadened and must be given to people who have the necessary skills to deliver what needs to be delivered. And as it is now, it has been corrupted, and it looks like it is designed for certain people.
I mean, amidst the backdrop of now the GNU and the polling suggesting that South Africans are really satisfied with the GNU instead of a one-party dominant state, do you think the EFF's alternative will gain favor among voters within the next election cycle, that is 2026? Of course, also considering that last year you took just a little knockback in terms of voter share.
Well, the EFF will get a vote because our people believe that a solid alternative is the one that is going to give them what they've been longing for. GNU, you know who constitute GNU, and those who constitute GNU controls what? They control the media. And that's why the narrative that GNU is doing well and all of that, but it's not doing well. If you check the high cost of living, you check the levels of unemployment, you check the issue of corruption, which we thought was going to be at the center when they took over, but it doesn't look like there's an agenda to deal with that. So all of that is waiting for EFF to deal with it.
On corruption, do you think corruption pays?
It pays, Mara, for now. When it catches up with you, everything else that you thought it's yours, it will destroy you.
I mean, with the EFF now, like you said, the GNU has not really been doing well because the indicators, cost of living, and other indicators suggest that the GNU really hasn't produced tangible efforts to improve South Africans' lives. Now, to counter the GNU, the EFF has really used parliaments and the courts to show that it is an alternative. I mean, among voters, do you think that instead of being a rowdy force within parliament, do you think now it's perhaps changing the EFF's image in the public imagination as being a party of governance instead of a party of just rowdy youngsters?
Well, when you start a party, you ought to come up with a different strategy so that you are not swallowed by what already exists. People must be able to distinguish between you and those who were old in parliament.
Yeah.
The EFF, if it had not taken the post I took, it will be one of those parties dressed in suits and ties. When you speak, you'll just speak like, and they've not written down there. The thing is, it's an ANC member. Mm-hmm. Because what distinguishes DA is the color of their skin. Mm-hmm. So we were just going to be another ANC. But even when we were causing trouble in Parliament, we were making very substantive inputs, qualitative inputs guided by superior logic, and many of them could not actually accept that these are issues that are coming from the EFF.
The EFF, COPE was a necessary irritation, which stole a percentage of the vote from the ANC. The EFF was a necessary irritation, and like you said, it needed to be a disrupting force to separate itself from the ANC. Firstly, do you see MK as a credible opposition? And secondly, why is the EFF a credible opposition, leftist opposition?
Well, it is not a credible alternative because of how they carry themselves in Parliament. If you listen to the quality of their inputs and look at how they conduct their affairs, you don't want the government of South Africa to fall in the hands of such people. You need people who are going to put serious issues on the table that will meaningfully change the lives of our people. I mean, there's one thing that many of you have not observed there. MK doesn't speak bad about DA. Ramaphosa's ANC, we can't work with Ramaphosa's ANC. But they've never said they can't work with the DA or the Freedom Front, anything that represent extreme right wing. And that should be able to tell you that these people are prepared to join forces with people who want to destroy our country. So, and to make matters worse, you've never seen Zuma wearing a scarf of Palestine. But Cyril Ramaphosa, who we call a sellout all the time, he wears that scarf of Palestine. And you know what it does to the Jewish right-wingers when you wear that scarf.
I just want to talk about Jacob Zuma himself. It's difficult for me to hear out the argument by some ANC that he was an apartheid spy. It is easier to understand Jacob Zuma as a hired gun. Do you think his intention, knowing him better than I do, is to destroy our constitutional democracy?
Well, no, I don't think, even if he wanted to, he doesn't have the capacity to do that.
Yeah.
Calling a person a spy is what they do with ease, without facts. And if you're to put a commission of inquiry and say, prove those allegations, they won't prove it. So Zuma did what he did because he didn't want to let go of power. And he decided, look, I'm going to create this family stokvel that will keep me relevant, and I'll be able to use it to advance individual family interest.
I mean, the EFF, I mean, you have said that you've offered, the EFF in Parliament did offer to help MK just starting up in terms of the parliamentary operations. I mean, MK's caucus really has, I would say, rich institutional memory. I mean, they have CEOs, former CEOs of SOEs, a former judge president. Do you think they haven't been able to utilize this properly, or do you think it's all just a part of the plan, like you say, that they're just not a credible alternative at this point?
Well, it's different to be a CEO and being a politician. You can make a very good CEO, but not politician. So I think they're lacking when it comes to politicians, especially the former the former judge president of Western Cape, Dr. Hlophe. So it's important that you the person you put forward understand politics and doesn't do politics for the sake of politics and regard them as a career move and take the approach of careerism. It won't work.
I mean, do you think it's a threat that the MK and the ATM have now said that they will team up together for the local government elections? I mean, they're part of the so-called Progressive Caucus, if that even still exists now. I don't think it does. Yeah.
Well, the ATM combined with the MK, even now with these numbers now, doesn't make any change, doesn't make any difference. If anything, people have seen what the MK is. And they will speak on the local government elections about what they really did was wrong.
Okay. We're going to get to the ANC in a minute, but I want to talk about the EFF. I think you are going to struggle to come back. I've heard 2016, 2021, 2024, your Secretary Generals tell us that they go door to door, they do proper sit-down sessions, there's proper training, they have numbers, they know how to get those numbers onto the buses. You do incredibly well in your public speeches, but you're just one person. How are you going to grow the EFF?
The EFF is growing on its own. I mean, from the conference of the EFF, we agreed that a membership which must constitute a branch must be 200 plus. So by the time we finish having these branches, that on its own, it's an organizational growth.
Back to basics.
But equally, you need to conscientize and politicize the ground forces so that they come to appreciate that there can be many, but there will never be more than voters, and therefore they still seek the votes of ordinary people who are not members of the EFF, but potentially supporting the EFF. And by the look of things, the by-elections results where we contest, there is a scientific proof that the organization is growing. So it was unfortunate that it got less than what it had by half a percentage. And that is just a wake-up call, and we are responding to that.
Do you think the people who supported Jacob Zuma and MK, was it a tribal vote or was it a vote of the disenfranchised and a protest vote against the ANC?
It was a tribal vote. The people who are tribalists were looking for home and were looking for a statement, to replace Mangosuthu Buthelezi, who they saw as a father figure. So now they were thinking, who can be a father figure for the Zulu nation? Because if it was a protest of people who are not satisfied with the ANC, it would have been across the country. So it happens in one province where it happens they speak Zulu and he's Zulu. And if they were to be asked, if a research was to be conducted, they will confirm that they voted for their own Zulu men. Because that's what happened when he took over the presidency of the ANC. It was already declining. There's a problem. But when he took over the presidency of the ANC started increasing numbers in KZN and declining everywhere else. So they played a very dirty game there of tribalism, which is undesirable.
What do you make? Because I think it speaks to maybe the post-1994 project, bringing South Africa together, a project of non-racialism, non-tribalism, non-sexism. And we see people, perhaps like you say, that it was a tribal vote for the MK moving towards political parties and organizations where they identify first with their tribe or identify with their ethnicity. And the EFF has always maintained that it's not a party like that. It's a party for all. It says so in its constitution, and its 7 cardinal pillars also really espouse those. What do you make then of like the post-1994 democratic project now? Do you see it disintegrating? And then how does then the EFF, while trying to increase its voter share, also conscientize people to that?
There is an effort to fragment a black vote. And it is sponsored by white monopoly capital. And again, Zuma never speaks about white monopoly capital or Floyd for that matter. They speak about EFF. So they sponsor formation of black parties so that the DA can emerge. These parties that are being formed, none of them say they are going to fight for the land, for the economy to be returned into the hands of the people.